Hello, my fellow earthlings out there. Today I am going to do a video on energy shifts. Now, everything around us, everything is made up of energy, okay? So we have light and dark energy out there, right? And especially these days when we have solar flares and things like that, it can affect our moods, and it can affect how we respond to things. And I noticed yesterday, I had it happen to me. You know, I'm just like everybody else, and a lot of times when I'm real sensitive to energy, okay? I do remote viewing, I do psychometry, right? But a lot of times when there's a slight shifting in the energy and that, now I'm not always going to be, I mean, we're human and we have our moods and we have our hormones and we have all this and that, but sometimes when there's an energy shift in that, it can greatly affect us too. Now, when this happens, you have to say to yourself, is what I'm getting from this, are these my thoughts, or are these, am I going to own this? Does it feel good? Or does it not feel good? Does it feel bad? Okay? And actually, if you have to ask yourself that, then I'm pretty sure you know right off the bat that the energy that you're tuning into is not a good energy. So, with that being said, yesterday I had a problem where there was, sometimes situations happen, right? And then on top of it, the energy had shifted. Now, did I cause the energy to shift? I could have, okay? Because everything is made up of energy, right? Including us, right? We admit energy, emit, I don't know. We give off energy, right? And the thing is when we're talking energy on like a spiritual level, or you know what I'm saying, spiritual existence and that, because we're all spiritual beings, right? The thing is that, you know, just like with beautiful light energy, there's dark energy out there, unfortunately. And so I had an appointment that somehow got totally mixed up. I was getting message after message after message coming up on my phone. For one was for mine and one was for my daughter's, and then it turned out then I get this message all of a sudden, and it was saying for the longest time that my appointment and her appointment were back to back. My appointment was at 11 a.m. and hers was at 11:15. So I was like, okay, so I was all prepared for it, didn't forget about it, you know, always knew that was supposed to be it. I get a message suddenly at 8:45. Was it yesterday? Yeah, 8:45, saying that, I'm sorry, was it 8:45? No, I'm sorry, it was almost 9 a.m. because it was supposed to be that her appointment was at 9:15 and mine was going to be, but it was supposed to be 11 and 11:15, right? And my appointment was still at 11. But it turned out that all of a sudden I get a message saying that her appointment is in 15 minutes. And I was so upset because I had been getting nothing but messages saying that her appointment was going to be at 11. And I blew up. For some reason, I hung on to this negative feeling because I was so upset because I had been waiting months for this for my daughter, who was getting a dermatology appointment, and I took it out on the operator. I was so angry. I said, well, I was getting all these, you know, and then I stayed holding that energy. And then what happened was when it came to the time for my appointment and that, you know, because I was like, well, it is what it is. But I still had that in me. So when I came for my appointment and I went and had mine, while I was being nice, you know, still, you know, not trying to be a jerk, whatever, but inside I was just like this, a very dark feeling of beings had entered the room. Okay, you know, obviously I couldn't see them, but I could feel them. And I had an appointment that really ended up being very uncomfortable and very, and it wasn't anything that the doctor did or anything like that. It was strictly just me, and it triggered old trauma in me, and then the rest of the day I sat in that trauma. I didn't get out of it realizing, are these thoughts my own, or did I allow something to come in and manipulate them because I originally hung on to this dark energy, okay, that originally was that how do I put it? Excuse me, because I have Lyme, so sometimes my mind gets a little foggy, but I chose to, when all that mix-up happened with the appointments and that, I hung on to that disgusted feeling, that frustrated feeling, and it just snowballed. And that's what happens is when you hang on to that kind of energy, it builds and builds and builds, and suddenly it just snowballs and boom, Some people love to be in that dark energy because somehow maybe it makes them feel powerful, okay? But if you are of a loving, light kind of person, you don't want the dark and the negativity, then you're going to want to away from that, right? And so, but sometimes it's not really easy to get out of that. And so basically what happened was I had to have a day of, I cried it out. I, just really just had to be alone with myself and my feelings, even though it was a day that I was having to run here, run there and everything. So I was crying inside. But then finally I got my moment when I was able to not have anybody around me and just let it out. And then I felt a lot better because I finally released it. I was like, okay, because I had time to process it and realize, hey, I'm not going to own this. I'm not going to own this. This is going to be gone, okay? Now, we can't always just immediately do these things, especially, right on the spur of the moment. So that's a little harder when you're out in public somewhere, and that you can't just like, oh, okay, let me meditate. Oh, it doesn't work that way. So, but what I did was when I have free time, of course, when I didn't do it yesterday, but I do it when I have time. Sometimes I sit there and I'll have to take myself somewhere to reset myself, okay? I have my special place that I like to go to that's kind of out in the forest, and it just really helps me reset my own energy field, or whatever you want to call it, because like I said, we're all made up of energy. So this might sound all a little bit confusing, right? So, but I go there, I reevaluate, I refresh, whatever. It might be the beach for you or wherever. But imagine, okay, so you think, well, how can some people don't know anything about meditating and that. And there's something very simple you can do, okay? So what you're going to do is, if you want to get in that place, you're going to close your eyes, okay? And just breathing. And you're going to just slowly take in the air, hold it a second, and blow it out. And as you do that, and while your eyes are closed, imagine that dark energy that you have allowed to fester, that a ball of light is going from the top of you in your crown chakra, and you're going to bring it down, okay, and slowly come down, and you're going to let it envelop around that dark ball of energy. And imagine you're pushing it through. Every time you're breathing out, you're letting the light all flow through and you're pushing out that dark energy ball and getting it out and releasing it and saying, I will own you no more. And I'm not going to promise any miracles, but I think it will do amazing for giving yourself a chance to align yourself with the universe and feeling that release of anything that's been dark or bothering you all day, and you're going to feel a lot better. So that's my message for today. I'm making it a little shorter because yesterday I went a little longer than I wanted to. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And y'all have a blessed, wonderful, beautiful, amazing day. All right, my fellow earthling friends, have a great day. Bye.